Hi there, Cosm family. My name is Jaliali. In this incarnation, I am here today to talk about the energies of this next week from June 30th to July 7th. So we are starting a new month, and this week we have a lot of things happening. A lot of things. One of the most important events, the most important event, is the new moon in Cancer. I already talked about because it contains a lot of transits that I am going to describe. It is like the path to reach the new moon, but it is active already. So let's start there because we have a lot. Well, Saturn is retrograde. Remember that it began its retrogradation on June 29th. And something that I didn't mention, I'm going to start by Mercury in Cancer, is that it is coming from a sextile with Uranus in Taurus, which is a moment, it was perfected, I think, the 29th or 28th. And this is about insights, sudden comprehensions. It is about connecting the pieces. We are coming from that place. With contacts between Mercury and Uranus. Also, this is about creative ideas or sudden creative solutions for things that we want to manifest or create. Let's remember that Mercury is the planet of communication and mental processes. So right now, Mercury is activating this trine when Neptune in Pisces until July 2nd, which is a very nice aspect to enable conversations with other people from the heart. It is like opening ourselves, opening our emotions, connecting in a very spiritual way with others, in a very empathetic way, with a lot of comprehension, these kind of things. And it is a transit very, very creative too, because Neptune is this planet that rules the invisible worlds, the spiritual world, and the planes that we have access when we descend these creative ideas for music, for arts, or for whatever thing we want to create. So there is this sensitivity, and we could receive messages through the music, the films, these kind of things that are linked with Neptune. A very, very nice transit to create, for creation. So let's move, because there's a lot, truly a lot. Well, something that I already mentioned is that the Sun in Cancer is creating this square with the Karma nodes, and this is active until the in mathematical degrees until the 3 or 4, but I decided to count it on the new moon. This is an opened square, but it is still on track from my perspective. So I already talked about this. The sun is the expression of our light, of who we are, of our vital force. And when we are dealing with these squares with karma nodes, the north node refers to this evolutionary point, and the south node is this energy that we have to do this cleansing, to drain the old patterns in order to elevate the energy. So usually we have decisions to assume, decisions to take. It is like, I'm going to move to the unknown space to do something new. In this case, when we talk about the North Node in Aries, it is about the expression of who we are, of opening the path with courage, opening the path in places in which there is no path. We are opening it step by step. And also, this is about being who we are, operating with courage. And when we talk about the South Node in Libra, it is about letting go of the seeking of validation and acceptance, the fear of being alone. Many times we could sustain relationships for this fear of being alone. So it is important to identify these kind of things. And well, it is about letting go of that. Venus, let's go with Venus. Venus is doing a lot. It is in Cancer. It is already today creating this trine with Saturn in Pisces that is perfected on July 2nd. And it is part also of the configuration of the new moon. So this trine with Saturn, which is a harmonic aspect, is talking about commitment. This could be commitment in a new level in a relationship, like the consolidation of a relationship. This could be linked with commitment with a new way of generating resources, because Venus in Cancer is linked, Venus is linked with that. But it is a way that it really feels like home. It is a way that is really connected to our heart. It is about commitment to cultivate self-love, to incarnate this archetype of the mother, and caring about ourselves, and taking care, about ourselves. Cultivating self-love is not always an easy task, and many times this is like, it sounds good, but it is challenging, because we have to take decisions transcending a lot of programmings. But with this trine, it is about starting something or putting our energy in things that can really build in the long term, and that are very, very linked with this self-love, this nurturance, this energy. At the same time, Venus in Cancer is creating this square with Chiron, which is perfected on July 6th, but it is also part of the new moon in Cancer. So we are going to feel this the whole week. And we are talking about identifying wounds. Chiron in Aries is about wounds. And many times the expression of this Chiron in Aries is reactivity. Venus in Cancer, it is not maybe a reactive Venus. We are not talking about reactivity, but this is a company of other transits that we are going to experiment. And we have a lot of emotions emerging with all the Cancer energy. So this could be expressed in reactivity. And it is important to, assume the responsibility for those wounds that could be activated, and that is very, very probable that other people are going to reflect that, because when we talk about Venus, we talk about relationships of every kind. It is not only about relationships of love. It is about relationships of every kind, and these wounds, are going to be reflected, so we can identify them and integrate them in a new level. They are not new. They are things that we brought until this point, and it is another turn of the spiral, basically. By the end of the week, Venus in Cancer is going to active a sextile with Uranus in Taurus, which has a harmonic aspect and requires for us an impulse to make changes, because Uranus wants changes. So we could take decisions to do something new in relation with generation of resources or innovation in our relationships, and make things different. Could be linked with things that are associated with the home, like a home renewal or something like that. And I am going to leave this for the next week, but it is an activation that is it is in track by the end of the week too, and actually it is part of the new moon in Cancer. Venus is going to create this trine with Neptune in Pisces, and it is about connecting in a very deep spiritual way with other people. It is about connecting with ourselves in a very deep and spiritual way. A lot of empathy and connection with others could be linked also with like romanticism and this kind of things. But the other thing that I wanted to mention is that Neptune, talking about Neptune, it's starting its retrogradation on July 2nd until December 7th. So it's going to retrograde from the degree 29th to the degree 27. And we are already feeling this because Neptune is stationary. So we are entering in this review of the things, it is about identifying which things are really operating in alignment with our spiritual connection, with our soul, or which things we are creating from a fantasy, for example, which things are an illusion, which things are really are operating without limits, and it is important to establish a boundary. The confusion and these kind of things are a polarity that could be expressed in the retrogradation in these days, with Neptune stationary. And confusion many times is this respond of the rational mind in resistance to hearing the intuitive voice of the soul, because intuition is what Neptune invites us to connect with. And also Neptune teaches us lessons of surrendering to this higher energy, to this higher divinity that operates in everything in the universe. So, well, it is about that. Well, this same day, July 2nd, Mercury is going to move to Leo. And this transit is going to be important because at the moment it enters in Leo, it is going to create an opposition with Pluto in Aquarius. And this is something that is going to be repeated later by Venus and by the Sun, and more ahead by Mars. So we are going to see something in this opposition that is going to be reflected and intensified when Venus and the Sun are going to approach Pluto. So it is important to mention here, Pluto is this planet of transformation, of death and rebirth, and the power too. And Mercury in Leo, it is about an expression of who we are, wanting to communicate, to express our light. It is about wanting to be seen also. And Leo is this energy that represents the inner child, so the opposition with Pluto could reflect, certain things maybe that are not integrated from this inner child, the fact that don't feeling recognized or seen, this kind of things. And when we experiment oppositions, it is very usually that we are projecting that onto other people, onto other situation. So this is a moment where we can identify shadows, bring them to the consciousness. Also, it is very important to observe dynamics of manipulation in conversations, not to judge other people, not to judge ourselves, but to transcend them, to identify them and to transcend them. Because it is something that could be presenting in this opposition. We are talking about attention. So there is something that it is going to be transformed in this transit. And as I said, later it is going to be repeated by Venus and by the Sun. At last, but no least, because this transit is the transit of July, we are going to experiment. It is already active from today until July 21st. It is almost the whole month. Mars is getting closer to Uranus in Taurus. Mars is in Taurus. So this conjunction, it is very, very powerful. Mars is this planet of action, the action that we take for our own desires. It is also the planet that expresses our anger. So Uranus is a planet that wants to revolutionize, wants change, many times unexpected and sudden change, and break all the structures that are limitant, that are not fertile for growth. So this is about assuming a change in relation to structures that have accompanied us for a long time, because when we talk about Taurus, we talk about the stability and things that we have sustained for a long time, but they are not creating growth anymore, or not helping us to create growth anymore. This is about resources, because Taurus, it is linked with that, with economy, with resources, with the places we are feeling value or valuable. So we are going to experiment a change there. We are all going to experiment a change there. And if it is not something that we are deciding to do, that emerges from us, then it is very probable that life, will bring a scene on the outside to push us to make this change. So it is important to identify where kind of structures, or which kind of structures we have to change in order to push, or to start to begin these new things. In the collective level, well, this could be expressed in a very violent way. But well, I am going to talk about that later. Family, I am ending this video here. Thank you, everyone, and see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.